G'day guys, how's it going? My name is AussieTash. This video was suggested to me by one of my members on Discord. Shout out to Shut Up Man. Really looking forward to getting to this video. It's also from the channel Canada Explained. Guys, check out his channel. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, researching the stars with Canada's helping hands. Let's go.
Look up. No, like way up. A little bit further. Can you even see it? Right now, some 408 kilometers over our heads, the International Space Station is being whipped at 28,000 kilometers an hour in circles around the Earth, carrying a permanent human presence in space since the year 2000. The ISS was designed and built in partnership with 5 space agencies from around the world: NASA in the United States, Roscosmos from Russia, JAXA from Japan, the European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. Each building and bringing up different modules until the last livable module was brought up and attached in 2011. The United States, Russia, Japan, and the European Union all brought up different modules for the station, but it was the Canadian contribution that played a significant role in putting the whole thing together. And no, I'm unfortunately not talking about the heartwarming sing-alongs from Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield. We're talking about Canada's most famous robotic and technological achievement, a program of historic proportions lovingly dubbed the Canadarm. In the 1980s, the National Aeronautics Space Administration from the United States was building its reusable space shuttle program and invited Canada to have a seat at the table, marking the start of a long and close relationship between Canada and NASA. These shuttles were going to be used to launch and repair satellites while in space, and they needed the flexibility to allow astronauts to get really close to orbiting satellites to make some of those repairs. The shuttles needed to have something that would literally reach out to grab the satellites, hold them in place while astronauts did their repairs, and then throw them back into their orbit once they were finished. It even says
Canada on it.
Canada would be tasked with designing a tool from scratch that would work flawlessly in space with the dexterity of an actual human arm. And the Canadarm program was created. In order to withstand the harsh environments of space, the Canadarm would need some of the most advanced aerospace materials available, including titanium, stainless steel, and graphite epoxy. It would be insulated with a blanket of thermostatically controlled heaters to make sure that the inside temperature stayed safe. With nerves made of copper wire, bones made of graphite fiber, and muscles made of electric motors, the Canadarm is truly like a human arm. The arm is permanently fixed by one end to the shuttle vehicle, and it has 2 joints in the shoulder, 1 in the elbow, and 3 in the wrist, just like an actual human arm. The very first Canadarm was launched on November 13th, 1981 as a part of the STS-2 mission on the Space Shuttle Columbia. Once the bay doors open in space, the arm stretches 15 meters out. It's able to lift up to 30,000 kilograms on Earth, which is the equivalent of a fully loaded school bus.
30,000
which
kilograms!
Then multiplies up to 266,000 kilograms of weight in the weightlessness of space. All with the same amount of electricity it would take to boil a kettle of water. The first launch on Columbia was an incredible success. Dr. Gary Lindbergh, the first program manager for the Canadarm program, said that first image returned back to Earth, the now famous inverted V with the Canadian wordmark displayed for the world to see. Canadian technology at its best. It was happiness, relief, and excitement, all at once.
Okay, Canada, take a bow. I've been doing this series called Made in Canada, and I know you guys have come up with some really cool stuff in history. But the Canadarm, oh my god, you're up there in space, man. That could hold 30,000 kilograms, did they say? Oh my gosh, and the cool stuff that it's doing, that footage is absolutely incredible. And proud up there on the arm is Canada and a maple leaf. That is super, super cool. I do believe they are making the Canadarm 3 for the 2024 mission, where your astronaut, Jeremy Hansen, will be heading up to the moon. Very cool.
The first Canadarm cost the government of Canada $108 million to design, build, and test the arm before they just gave it to NASA for the Columbia mission. However, NASA would go on to buy 4 more arms from Canada, one for Discovery, Challenger, Endeavour, and Atlantis, which resulted in over $700 million in sales for the program, and another $20 million every single year in maintenance and support.
That's a lot of loonies and
arguably the
toonies.
most famous iteration of the Canadarm program, retired alongside the remaining of the space shuttle vehicles in 2011.
Okay.
One example of the Canadarm, the one that used to belong to Endeavour, is on display at the Canada Aviation and Space Museum in Ottawa, while Atlantis and Discovery still have their arms. However, the retirement of the space shuttle and the end of the first Canadarm program is not the end of this story. Canadarm2, which is officially known as the Space Station Remote Manipulator System, is the second iteration of the Canadarm program, which launched in 2001, and it's the only one that's still currently in operation today. Canadarm2 is an important part of the contribution that Canada made to the International Space Station project. This arm, which was 17 meters long, was extensively used in putting the space station together. It would reach out and grab new modules from the delivering space shuttle, and it would attach it to where it needed to go on the space station. Canadarm2 has two identical hands on both sides of the arm. These can latch on to different anchor points around the space station, or can do cosmic catches and grab onto things that are floating by. The arm has an ability to walk over itself, crawling end over end, connecting to different anchor points, or it can be connected to the mobile servicing system, which is a 108-meter long truss system that runs the entire length of the space station, specifically designed to hold the Canadarm. The arm can be controlled inside the station from a resident astronaut or remotely from a CSA office in Longueuil. And since the station was completed in 2011, it serves as an important repair tool.
Have a look at that, man.
Spaceships,
just look at that
and it can
footage.
safely hold spacewalking astronauts so that they can complete repairs on the outside. However, Canadarm2 is most efficient when it's coupled with Canada's other contribution to the space station, Dexter, also known as the Special Purpose Dexterous Manipulator, sometimes just called the Canada Hand. Dexter is a humanoid-looking two-armed robot that is able to do some of the very complicated repairs on the outside of the station that otherwise would require an astronaut to go outside.
Wow, okay, so not only is there a Canadarm, there's a Canada Hand named Dexter. That is super cool, man. Canada, take a bow. You guys come up with some really, really cool stuff for the world, and also stuff for out of this world, all the way in space. And proudly, again, like I said, there's Canada and the flag with the maple leaf. That is super, super cool. I'm absolutely loving this video. Canada, you should be really proud of the stuff you've contributed to the International Space Station. It's fantastic.
Dexter was launched in 2008 and has since become an incredibly important part of the space station team.
Just look at it.
Unlike the arm, Dexter is entirely controlled from the ground in either Quebec or Houston, and is designed to work independently of any of the resident astronauts inside the station. After launching in 2008,
doesn't even need an
Dexter
astronaut
woke
to
up
move
for the first time after being connected to Canadarm2 on March 14th of that year. 2 days later, spacewalking astronauts connected Dexter's two arms, and they would spend the next year doing various tests on the system. Dexter's very first autonomous role was to unpack some pieces from the Japanese resupply ship Kunitori 2, while the astronauts on board were still sleeping. Dexter is incredibly tricked out. He's got high-definition color TV cameras on all arms, an area to stow different pieces, a tool holster with every tool that you would possibly need to work on the space station. In 2011, more tools were added, including a wire cutter, a safety cap remover tool, and a multifunction tool with several different adapters. Canadarm2 and Dexter continue to circle the Earth on board the station and provide some of the most critical services to the space
guys of
station
Canada.
team, being able to repair things while hurtling thousands of kilometers an hour through the depths of space. But again, these are not the end of the Canadarm story.
There's more?
The Canadian Space Agency is currently working on two new projects, Canadarm3 and the Next Generation Canadarm. The Next Generation Canadarm, or NGC, is actually a program with 4 parts. First, you have a 15-meter long Canadarm that's designed to fit into smaller spacecraft, like the Boeing Starliner or SpaceX's Dragon rockets. It's designed to fold down into a box that's no more than 5 square meters in order to minimize the space used on board. Second, that arm can be coupled with a 2.5 meter long mini Dexter that can complete very complicated repairs to both satellites and spacecraft while in space. Third, the Canadian Space Agency is working on a mini Canadarm that can be used to dock 2 spacecraft together while in space.
Oh,
and
that's
last,
really
a missions
cool, that
control
is.
center to control all 3 of those arms and to give astronauts an opportunity to practice bringing spaceships together in close contact.
So he said that Dexter can be controlled from Quebec. Do you guys have like a space station there? I'm going to have to look at some footage about it. Jump on. Have you been there? Can you do a tour there? Tell me your stories. I'd love to hear them.
These flexible services will be critical for the future of operations in space, which currently are being launched by private rockets in the United States. So it's very likely that we'll see these next generation Canadarms taking flight on SpaceX, Boeing, or Virgin vehicles, and they'll likely be rented out to these companies and to global space agencies for individual missions in the future.
Wow.
Maybe the most exciting advancement in robotic space arm technology is actually Canadarm3, an artificial intelligence-based robotic system that will stay permanently in space on board the Lunar Gateway. With the United States planning on returning man and bringing the first woman to the moon by 2024,
Yes,
NASA is
you're
currently
astronaut.
planning the construction of the Lunar Gateway Station, which is a small station that will actually orbit the moon and serve as a waypoint for regular human travel to the surface of the moon. The gateway will be
Doesn't that sound
one-fifth of the
exciting?
size of the International Space Station, and it will serve as a scientific laboratory, a rendezvous point for missions going to the moon, a control center for permanent operations on the moon, and eventually an important resting stop for voyages towards Mars. Canadarm3 will be able to walk around the outside of the Lunar Gateway just like Canadarm2 does on ISS. It will maintain and repair the gateway,
Gosh.
capture visiting spacecraft, move various modules around, and assist astronauts in completing spacewalks. However, Canadarm3 will be trained to do a lot of this work and these repairs completely on its own, because the gateway will not always be crewed, and the delay in communication between the Earth and the gateway caused by it going around the backside of the moon would make direct communication with the Earth nearly impossible. The arm will be fitted with a 3D vision sensor tool and 6 360-degree 4K quality cameras that will give the arm the ability to see what it's doing and to map the area around it. And brand new but highly sensitive sensors will be added to the arm, giving it a sense of touch, something that no other Canadarm in the past has had. And unique to Canadarm3, it's going to have the ability to break itself down into smaller pieces so that it can be brought inside the Lunar Gateway Station for repairs. Canada is working hard with our international partners
You guys
to
are
help bring
doing
humans
great.
back
This
to
is
the moon.
incredible.
And Canadarm3 continues to push the limits of what we thought was technically impossible. From 1981 to the moon, the Canadarm legacy is a testament to Canadian curiosity, capacity, and ingenuity. The Lunar Gateway will be the next major international collaboration in human space travel, and Canada continues to be a cherished and welcomed partner at the table. Without Canada's helping hand, it would have been a lot harder for us to reach for the stars.
I love that. The Canadarm is Canadian curiosity at its best, guys. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, can you believe what you guys have done, what you guys have accomplished? In 2024, the Canadarm3 is going to be heading to the moon with one of your Canadian astronauts on it. Absolutely fantastic. I really love this story. It was so good. Guys, I hope you did. If you did, please jump on, smash the like button, leave a comment, and of course, remember to subscribe. That really helps me out. Cheers from down under. Take care. Bye.